arrogant and as outspoken and as in your face as the Colorado football team, and Deion's son flashing gold chains and watches and taunting people and the whole I'm better than you mentality, that Colorado is the Black Devils.
And so here we go again, back with another one. And just when you think it can't get any worse, every week it seems like Jason Whitlock can't top himself. It seems like this is going to be it. This is by far going to be one of his worst takes.
Y'all all probably think the Deion thing's going to work. Warren's been down with Deion at Colorado. You've seen it all firsthand. I've been through it to a lesser level, to a far lesser level, but again, had a lot of success.
Y'all almost won.
So wait a minute. No, I'm talking about as a journalist. I'm a Hall of Fame journalist, sports journalist. I'm a Hall of Fame sports journalist.
They got one of those?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
We all know that Jason Whitlock, he's no dummy. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's placating to his largely, what I'm assuming is a largely white audience. And it is what it is, especially on this particular platform. You have a lot of people and a lot of individuals that like to go that route, that like to placate towards that particular audience because it plays. Because let's be real about it. How often is it that you get to see somebody from a different community spout and say some of the same things that you say behind closed doors?
It's 2018 in America. Does racism exist?
Absolutely not. And it has never existed.
Whoa!
And when I was growing up, I had to pick cotton. Have you ever picked cotton?
No, sir.
You have not lived until you pick cotton.
It's fun to pick cotton.
It's fun. It makes a man out of you.
Really?
And it basically boils down to people wanting to be validated and the need for people to have validation. No matter how far left or how far right some of their beliefs might be, at the end of the day, everybody wants validation to know that their opinion is valid. No matter how crazy and how wacky and how bigoted it may be, that's what people want. And that's what people sign up for these days. And Jason Whitlock is somebody that definitely understands and knows that. And he's using Deion Sanders to get it done. But one thing I think that is off limits, or at least it used to be off limits, was talking about people's kids.
Colorado is the Black Devils. You know, Duke is the Blue Devils. Colorado is the Black Devils. This arrogance. And so I read a USA Today story about Shedeur Sanders, who's already driving a Maybach. And they got a story now. He wants a Rolls Royce. And Deion actually had Tom Brady call his son to tell him he didn't need a Rolls Royce. Now, Shedeur is the kid that pregame, big gold chain, Rolex watch, flashing it in other kids' faces before the game. That's Shedeur Sanders, the Christian Laettner of Colorado football. Does anybody remember how people felt about Christian Laettner? Anybody remember that? I certainly do. I certainly remember all the names that Christian Laettner was called. Christian Laettner was a beast in college basketball. A beast. One of the most accomplished college basketball players of all time. Legitimately. But he was known as an arrogant punk. That's what I see in Shedeur Sanders. See, my perception or my values are the way that I evaluate. It's not predicated on skin color. It's predicated on behaviors that are consistent with values that I believe in and want to see. Most of the people defending Colorado and not taking an objective view on what they're seeing from Colorado and Deion and his sons, their values aren't consistent. Their values are based on skin color. And so they can't see the Christian Laettner in Shedeur Sanders. And when I say Christian Laettner, for those of you not as old as me, I'm talking, this dude was an incredible college basketball player and had a solid NBA career. Didn't live up to the hype, but had a solid NBA career. That's what I see in Shedeur Sanders, an incredible college player 3 games in. We'll see how it plays out. To me, when I look at it, I'm like, oh man, this guy's going to be a good pro player. But his attitude, that arrogance, that privilege, that entitlement looks just like Christian Laettner. And so I'm a fruit inspector looking at Deion's fruit. I'm looking at Shiloh contradicting his father and throwing gas on a beef that could spin out of control, could. And I'm looking at Shedeur, Deion's other fruit, with an arrogance and an entitlement and a privilege that's pretty hard to ignore. And then even if you took the time to go to Deion Sanders Jr., if you took the time and go look at his social media feed and all the different things he tweets out, it's not a good look. Not mirroring Deion's mentality. He's not mirroring Travis Hunter's mentality. And so as Shamika likes to say, I'm a fruit inspector. And so Deion Sanders' son is Deion's fruit. What does that fruit sound like what Deion's talking about? And does it raise questions about, oh, this is what Deion's saying in front of the camera. What's he saying behind the scenes to his actual team? Because his son is saying something completely different. I find it interesting. Let's note that and remember that. The last thing I want to talk about as it relates to fruit inspection. And when I talk about the values being instilled, reinforced, promoted within the Colorado football program. And I want to once again examine the fruit. Shedeur Sanders, who is a hell of a quarterback, hell of a player. But he's also arrogant. And if he were white, people would be calling him arrogant and a punk. He's kind of like Christian Laettner. And that's why I make the Duke comparison. That Colorado is the Black Devils.
And so only Jason Whitlock could stoop so low as to call the Colorado football team the Black Devils. And he knows exactly what he's doing, because had a white commentator said the exact same thing as Jason Whitlock, he would have been called out by everyone. He would have been so-called canceled. They would have been calling for his job. They would have been calling for him to be taken off the airwaves. And this is something that Jason Whitlock knows, and it's something that he understands. He's using his so-called black bigot privilege. Him and Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Peterson can be as bigoted as they want and spew some of these same talking points and get away with it because they have the complexion for the protection. Sometimes that works in reverse. And Jason Whitlock knows this. And so he's milking this. And this is something I think he's going to continue to milk all season long. Even if Deion was to go undefeated and win the college national championship, he would still be screaming and spouting the same thing, because he's saying the things that people say within certain communities. Not everybody, but the fringe groups. And y'all know what I'm talking about. You see, we're not racist. That boy Jason Whitlock believed the same thing we do. And that's how it plays out. And Jason Whitlock, like I said, he's somebody that's smart enough to understand that there's always going to be an appetite for somebody like a Jason Whitlock. And he can hide behind his so-called Christian values all he wants. But we all see through that. Everybody sees through that. And sooner or later, they'll get tired of Jason Whitlock and move on to the next one. But I guess in the meantime, he's going to get all the butter biscuits and all the money that he can get. But that's going to be a wrap for this particular video. But definitely go ahead and chime in the comment section and let me know how y'all feel about this latest Jason Whitlock Deion slander. And as usual, peace, chaos.